What's going on, everyone? Today I want to go over Permansor Terrae and if you should get his Eidolon 1 or if you should opt to get his Lycone instead. Now this topic is really multi-layered, so I want to go through it, break everything down bit by bit. But if you want the short answer, it's probably going to lean more so towards getting the E1. But again, there's a lot to it. Now I want to start off this video by going over the differences between the E1 and the S1. Now his Lycone, for starters, it increases Danhang's attack at S1 by 64%. It can also heal your allies on top of the shielding that Permansor Terrae normally does, so he's essentially like a 2-in-1 kind of thing. And your allies get what's essentially a fixed 36% increase in damage output. Now that sounds good, but the Eidolon 1 actually is quite a bit similar but also different at the same time. Now, with Permansor Terrae, every time he uses his ultimate, he will recover 1 skill point for your team, which can definitely be handy, and at the same time, all of your allies have their all-type res pen increased by 18%, lasting for 3 turns. So what this means is that if you have energy regen, like an energy regen link rope, maybe you have Japard's Lycone if you don't have the best in slot, you can essentially have 100% uptime on that alt-type res pen, other than at the very beginning of the battle, of course. Now, whether or not you should get the Lycone or the E1, really, it depends on what kind of Permansor Terrae build you're using right now and what you want to use long term. If you're one of the 4 total people on this planet who want to use Permansor Terrae as a Hyacinth alternative and use him in like an HP drain team comp, then by all means the Lycone is gonna be what you want to go for, and you're just gonna want to stack a bunch of attack. But most people who are building up Permansor Terrae and are debating between the E1 and the Lycone want to use him with Finon. Now if this sounds like you, then you're most likely going to want to go for the E1. Now the first thing, of course, is going to be the all-type res pen. You essentially want energy regen on Danhang. You want that ult going as often as possible, at most within every 3 turns, so that again he can have 100% uptime on this all-type res pen increase. But the other thing is going to be the skill point recovery. A lot of people are probably sleeping upon this, but if you can use his ult and get 1 skill point back, that can totally be the make or break as to whether or not you get that 0 cycle clear or not, whether you got that final star in MOC or not. Down the line, when Finon starts to age and he can't be this OP anymore, you're going to heavily appreciate having this kind of stuff. You're gonna have to be more conservative when you spend your skill points, when you use up your skills on Finon. I understand that you want as many batteries for Finon as possible to get his ult going as soon as possible. A lot of people like to opt for spamming skills on Finon so he can have his ult going immediately. But long term, you're not going to be able to do that. Finon's not going to be this easy to use in the long run. So if you're like me and you spam Ceridra skill every single time on Finon, then this can totally come in handy if you don't have Sparkle on the team as well. If you have Sparkle on the team, if this really falls off and it doesn't really mean a whole lot, but most of you are not going to use Sparkle and Finon long term. And I bet most of you aren't even running Sparkle with Finon anyways. But the Lycone is also a phenomenal option to run on Permansor Terrae. If you get this Lycone, just having the 64% increase in attack is enough. You don't need that many attack substats on your relics, and instead you can go for like an energy regen link rope. You can try to get to the 134 speed breakpoint. You can do a lot of different stuff with your substats instead of honing all in on attack. And you may even be able to run speed boots on him because of how much attack is actually covered by this Lycone. It also has a high base attack. But if you want me to be honest, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, right? Straight up, it doesn't matter. Both of these will do fundamentally the same thing. They will increase the damage for your team, and they're gonna help you out in other ways, right? The Lycone does a better job at sustaining. The Eidolon does a better job when it comes to skill point manipulation and recovery. They do different things, but both of them are going to increase the damage for your team. But if you had to choose again, I would go with the Eidolon. But if you want the Lycone just to have it as a flex, that's fine. You're not gonna waste your pulls if you opt to go for the Lycone instead of the E1. And honestly, E0 S0 Permansor Terrae is like 98% of his value. All of this kind of stuff, the Lycone, the E1, they're extra stuff. And I bet you everyone says that, but that's because it's true. you don't need the light cone or the idol. I understand like vertically investing into Permansor Terrae is it's a great option. This is one of the best units. Permansor Terrae might be the best unit in the game right now to vertically invest into because of his longevity, just like E0S0, but the thing is, you don't need to. So just keep all of that in mind. If you love Permansor Terrae that much and you want to go the vertical investment route, but you're undecided as to where you want to start, you could consider going for the E1, of course. But this is about it for this video. I have nothing else to say. Once again, the light cone, not a bad option. It does basically the same thing. The HP restoration is huge for the light cone. Don't get me wrong, if you can't get Permansor Terrae shield up 24/7 like a Venturine, then you're going to want the HP restoration. Having the increased base attack, also appreciated. 36% increase in overall damage. All of this is great. The Eidolon, for most people, if you're running Permansor Terrae, Serija, Phynon, and then one other unit, maybe Sunday, Bronius, eventually Cyrene when she comes out, you're gonna want the E1 instead. But that's about it for this video. I have nothing else to say. But that's about it for this video. I'll see y'all. Goodbye.